when we were talking earlier about bands and places we played there, I was in some punk bands back in the day. We played at a bar down in Austin on 6th Street, and we went in and there was holes in the wall. They were about this big around in the walls everywhere, and they kind of looked like the shape of a head. And I'm like, man, what are these holes? You stick someone's head in there that's acting up. Go put your nose in the wall. And as we started playing, I started seeing the guys would headbang into the walls.
Wow.
And they were trying to punch through the walls with their head, and they'd have blood all coming down their nose. That was crazy. So I was telling some guys the other day, when I used to play, I would break my E string. I'd play so hard. We were doing so much, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
That's probably why I got pain and stuff in my fingers.
I really enjoyed listening when I got out of high school. I went on a tear with a lot of different types of styles of music, and I was kind of all over the place. I was listening to Roger Waters and Pink Floyd pretty heavily. But man, when Tool came out, I was hook, line, and sinker on that band.
Yeah.
They're just unbelievably musically talented, and I love everything they did. And then of course I was listening to Rage Against the Machine because everybody was. But if it was grunge in '90s, which will surprise you, as long as it wasn't Nirvana.
Yeah.
I didn't get it. Now I'll tell you what though, I think Foo Fighters is killer. They can't do wrong in my book, but I just never could get into Nirvana. I mean, Smells Like Teen Spirit was a pretty good song, but after that I'm like, whatever,
I watched a Beto, what's his name? Rick Beto, or Beto. Anyway, the guy from England that breaks down all the music. No, he's not. He's in New York. Anyway, he did Teen Spirit. He broke it down, what they were doing. He was talking about how, Kirk was this, came up with these weird chords. And even the knowledge and how sophisticated some of it was, I love Foo Fighters, Goo Goo Dolls, all that stuff. I cannot get into Nirvana.
I couldn't either. They've got, admittedly so, I'll say that, I don't know, there's like 3 songs that I like. That's it. But like I never saw them live, wouldn't have cared to, even if they'd come out, and it wouldn't have mattered to me one way or the other out. Just my thing. And a lot of people fight me on it. They go, Foo Fighters is stupid. I'm like, no, they've been around pretty good.
They're right up there with Coldplay. I saw U2 when they first came to the States, and they came to Dallas, and they played in the theater at the convention center, which holds 1,500 people. That's all they could pack out.
What tour would that have been? Like Boy?
That would have been Boy.
War?
Yeah,
Boy.
That was Boy.
Wow.
And they were getting some play, but they weren't big yet. And so that, to see them, you're sitting there and Bono is running up and down the aisle with a white flag. Yeah. It was a great show. That sold me on them forever, because I saw that energy. When the first downbeat, they never stopped. It was constant, energy going until the very end. I loved seeing them. And I've seen them a few times. We did some stuff with NXS up in the Seattle area back in 83, 84. And they were, great guys. But some of the new wave, some of that stuff was hard to swallow.
Did you like any of it though? Like, did you like New Order or?
I love New Order. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Even today, I'll go and put that on Spotify. Midnight Oil. The Clash.
I love that band. It's so misunderstood. I love Midnight Oil, and everyone thinks, oh well, they only had a couple of songs. No, man, every album. And what people don't understand is that Midnight Oil, they were huge before they even came to the States. They've got like 12 albums. Right.
I tell you what. If you want to get inspired again, especially writing and playing, go back and listen to Plimsolls. She's a Million Miles Away.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I love them. Violent Femmes.
Yeah.
And Dead Kennedys. I used to play with the drummer from Dead Kennedys. He was deaf as a coot. Had to do everything sign language. He'd blown his eardrums. But it was that was interesting.
Well, that whole year, though, after, like, right around high school and after high school, I was going to tell you the other side of my musical stuff that I was listening to is I really got into a guy named Otmar Liebert. And he is known as the sort of the modern day jazz Manco. So he was a Spanish guitarist. Okay.
Yeah.
His his name suggests that he's not Spanish, though. His name suggests he's German, because he is. He's half German, he's half Spanish. And the guy is like, if I could learn how to play guitar, I wouldn't want to learn how to play like swirling leads on a rock guitar. He plays finger picking style on it, and it's amazing. So I got into his music for a long time, and then started kind of going down that road. And I was listening to like newer jazz, like the Rippingtons.
Yep.
You know, a lot of different stuff. And what's interesting is that my first foray into this kind of thing that we're doing right here is that I used to host a show on KXCR 89.5 in El Paso, Texas. I did it every Sunday night, and it was the worst time slot. I did it every Sunday night from 11 to 12.
The only person listening was your mom.
It was. But I had just started college, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to be on the radio?" I'm like, "I want to be on the radio." And so I was playing, and they're like, "Do you know jazz?" I'm like, "Do I know jazz? Come on, of course." I knew like 3 bands.
Right.
I was like, "I know these." "Oh, well, do you know this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know them." And anyway, so they
Chuck
give me
Mangione.
Yeah, right. But they gave me a playlist, and they say, "Okay, pick from here." And I was the worst program director for this show, because they're like, "You can play any of these songs." They give me like 50 to pick from, and I'm like, "All right." So I don't know what flows. I'm just picking songs because I kind of lied and was like, "Yeah, I know jazz, no problem."
Right.
But I remember they said, "Look, you can't get too talky on the mic, and don't say anything weird. And you have to remember at 10, 20, 40 in the top of the hour, you got to you got to give the call letters, and you got to give the time." And I'm like, I did that for like 6 months, and I had like 4 listeners. But it was a hell of a lot of fun while I was doing it, and it was actually at the time kind of a cool way to meet chicks. It's like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I'm on the radio."
DJ. Yeah, look at me. You have a big gold chain with a VW medallion.
Well, what I really wanted to do,
little couple of.
I was hoping that it was going to lead me into something else, because the hour before my little stupid jazz program was a killer show called Stepping Out. And it was all of the college radio stuff. It was the stuff I was listening to. And I'm like, "Oh man, I hope that guy leaves, because I want to do that show."
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, I love college radio. You know, we get a little bit, you know, North Texas, you know, you can catch a little bit, but up north, up in the Northeast, I was stationed up in New Hampshire, and the colleges up there just tore it up. And it was like 24/7, and it was all, you know, music you wouldn't have heard from anywhere. So I loved it, because you know, you'd find this new group. "Oh, I got to go get that CD." And I mean, I've listened to the weirdest stuff. There's a CD I had to buy called Zulok, which was just electronic, weird music that was kind of put together. But at that time, it's like, man, that's really cool. Nobody's doing that. You know, it was like Jean-Michel Jarre doing his kind of stuff. You know, he's the guy that does the over in Greece, the big symphony things. Probably Mark knows who he is, but
Well, the other guy from Greece too that I was, for whatever reason, was totally into, is I liked listening to Yanni.
Yeah.
And then I started kind of getting into Enya, and there was I liked that whole like existential sort of mellow, just sit back and tune out the world music. But the other one that I started listening to, I'm pretty sure he's Belgian, I believe, but his name's Michael Cretu, and he was the guy behind Enigma, if you remember.
Okay, yeah, I remember Enigma. Yeah.
Remember the what it would have been, the Singing Monks background with the electronic music, and they had a couple of hits, but for me, I would sit back, and it was really cathartic at the time. And when I was going to college, I never slept, so you know, trying to finish my degree, and then I was working in bars until 3:30 in the morning. I'd get home at 4:30 after I'd pick up something to eat, and then I'd need to sleep for a couple hours because I'd have class again at like 10 a.m.
Right.
You know, it's a long day when you got to go do microbiology at 10 a.m. after you've been drinking all night, playing in a bar. It's stupid.
Right.
What were you, so we kind of got off subject and talking well, we were not off subject, talking about music, but you said you were going to ask me something. What was it?
Yes. Give me, I got to have a couple, but one, and I think you can do this because you listen to a lot of different types of music, and your conversation about the country that you listen to kind of more mainstream. what would you say is the difference between red dirt, Americana, Texas country, and Nashville country? What do you feel today, not in the past, but music that's coming out of these kind of places different than what mainstream country music has? What would you say is the main differences to you?
I think it's really simple. I think for me, the first thing I think of is real versus overproduced. And I don't know if that's too generalized, but I listen to something that's sort of like the Americana red dirt sound, and I think of that was written by a guy with a crappy guitar on his porch with real lyrics that he came up from the soul, and it's not bro country.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I picture the same thing, some slob slaving away. And that we're going to do that, some of our music videos we're going to do, sitting on a porch kind of thing, or old dirt roads, sitting on the back of a pickup truck. We've got those scheduled for some filming to do, but that's exactly where I think the birth of this comes from. One of the things we were concerned of, when we go to Nashville, when we get pitched, and some of the stuff we get pitched is that, it's way too.
Some of it, but we can also make that our own.
Yeah, exactly. And it is, some of those songs are written by committee. I want one that a guy wrote, or maybe two, this means something to me. This means something to me. It's not just a little catchy line that fits and is in the rhyme and the scheme of this. That's what is important, I think, is real. I mean, that's, it's funny, that I think is what is so interesting about our music. It shouldn't be red dirt. It should be real dirt music, because this is what it is. I asked earlier about some of the bands. I mean, like I said, some of the guys, we go and hear, they need to keep working, but they're out there and it's real. It's songs that are to them that they wrote, and it's got the passion behind it,
I agree. It seems like that the more that I listen to what you might think of new country as is, for me, is it's formulaic, maybe is a good way to say it. But there are some artists that I like
right.
Someone I tell you that I have a real appreciation for, and I never thought I'd be into him, but he's a hell of an entertainer and a killer freaking guitarist, is Keith Urban.
Yeah.
I like his stuff, but you know what? Yeah. Keith Urban is doing stuff to me that kind of feels like what, not what we're doing, but he's kind of borderline. He's a rockin' dude.
Right.
He's sure he's got his songs are country and he plays that, but he is a rockin' soul, man. And he can wail on a lead.
Yeah.
And I dig that about him. But when I think of country I also think about even some of the other awful stuff we went through. So 80s country was okay, 80s country. Then you get into 90s country.
Right.
And we were talking about this the other day. Yeah, I'm a Garth fan and I do but I don't like all of his stuff. But I had a hard time getting into 90s country, even Tim McGraw. I have mad respect for Tim McGraw, but I mean, maybe it had to do with just all the years I was DJing. And if I heard "Don't Take the Girl One More Time," I was going to kill myself. Well,
that happens too. When it's overkill. I was stationed when Bruce Springsteen came out with his "Born in the USA." Every radio was playing it until, I mean, if he was on fire across the street, I wouldn't put him out. I can't stand, and I loved him up until that point. But when I went up there, everybody was playing it. Of course, even the college radio it's like, man, I can't get away from it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think they can play stuff too much. Not our songs. Our songs, they can't play too much. They need to play a lot.
Real quick to deviate from the subject, but I have to tell you something, or maybe you know this, because do you like Springsteen?
Yeah, I do like him. I can appreciate him.
Yeah, you can appreciate him.
Yeah.
You remember Manfred Mann's Earth Band?
Uh-huh.
And their one big hit? What was it?
I can hear it. I can't think of the name of it.
Blinded by the light.
Yeah.
Right?
Wrapped up like a...
Yeah. Do you know that that's a Bruce Springsteen song? It's a cover?
I am not surprised. I can't believe it.
And the Bruce Springsteen song is freaking awesome.
Is it?
Oh my God, it's awesome. Yeah, it's totally a cover. And I had all these years,
Right.
and it's probably because of the fact I'm not a huge Springsteen fan. I mean, I appreciate him, you know, Thunder Road and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I went back and listened to it, and I was like, oh, that's what the hell they're talking about.
Right.
So Blinded by the Light, the song is wrapped up like a deuce.
Right.
It's about a car race, blinded by the light, and a 22 coupe wrapping around a telephone pole.
Right.
Well, I would have never known that by listening to Manfred Mann sing that. I was like, blinded by the light, you know, with the boulder, with a, did he just say boner on his shoulder, or is that boulder? Right. And
exactly.
But it's a catchy tune. I had no idea that was a cover song. Right. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. It's dumb, but
you know, there was a country band I was in, and we had to do one rock song, and it was all along the Watchtower. I love Hendrix. I mean, I've played Hendrix, you know, on bass and he's just amazing. You know who originally wrote it?
That was Dylan.
Have you ever heard the song? Have you heard him do it? His live version. It's reggae. Yep. It is unbelievable. I love it better in the reggae style, because you can really hear the words and everything. It was so amazing.
And then Hendrix, he was the originator of, so everyone knows his version of Little Wing, which is really actually hard to find if you're looking for it, unless you have the album. But the lyrics to Little Wing is amazing. But then Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of brought Little Wing out and made that like this, holy crap, who is this guy from Texas? And how is he playing that, and what's going on? And because he just did it instrumental, a lot of people kind of forgot, oh yeah, that's Hendrix. All right, everyone. So we're wrapping up another interview with my good friend and brother from Red Dirt Outlaws, Delano Bryant. Hey, Del, I really appreciate you giving us some more time and talking about it. This is fun. I love doing the part where it just becomes an organic conversation and there's not really a lot of questions. I've actually learned a lot about you. So this has been great because it's given us another opportunity to connect, and I really appreciate that. So thanks for being a part of it.
Thank you. Thanks for doing this. It's really good.
All right. So guys, here's the deal. Coming up right after this, give me about 5 minutes and we're going to start playing again live at Chance's house. I guess can't be live at Chance's house if I'm not going to play live. So I'm going to play some RDO songs, going to play some of my own songs, and I might even throw in a couple of covers just to have some fun. So you guys stick around and we'll be right back. Thank you so much.